to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be doing something slightly different, something a bit more technical. Not so much about the flying, but more about the gliders. So today we're going to be looking at, can we and should we modify our gliders? In this case I'm talking about BC steering. Now I've got a glider that is from 2016, so it's quite an old one. It's the BGD Cure. It's a standard 3-line, it doesn't have any BC steering. So if I'm on speed bar, then what I tend to do is I use the C risers to do any sort of input and steering. Now we all know that when you're using C risers on a standard 3-line glider, you're actually breaking the back of the profile, and you're not being as efficient as you could do, even though it is more efficient than using the brakes itself. So what I've got here is a little kit that I made up, which should allow me to fit to a riser set. That, combined with that, should equal some BC steering. So what we've got in this little kit here is, instead of pulleys, lighter, cheaper way of doing it, some low friction rings, looped up, nice thick Dyneema, 2 lengths of Dyneema, looped up both ends. It's a very simple way of connecting this up to the system without actually modifying the existing riser. So what I have set up here, this is the riser set from my old base, because I put a new riser set on that before I sold it on. This is the old set that I kept hold of for the cheap Chinese Speedwing project. So single line, simply looped through, comes up the side of the risers, goes through the low friction ring, which is attached to the B mailon, goes straight through it, attaches to the C mailon. And the simple idea is that when in flight, if I hold this part, pull down on the C, it will then give me a 50% reduction in the length of the B risers to give me that angle adjustment, which is going to be smoother than just braking the C. We're going to get a smoother motion. Or are we? This is something I've been thinking about quite a bit. I've actually fitted this once and gave it a quick go on the Cure. I'm going to fit it again, go and fly the Cure that I can show you it in flight, and then we need to discuss why I don't believe that this is going to work as it should do, as advertised, on my Cure. So there we go, we've installed it on the Cure now. We got our C's, which is where we're going to pull down, got a low friction ring attached to the B risers, and the bottom end, just to anchor it, is looped through the bottom there. So there's no actual modification to this, it's just a case of clipping into the mailons and a loop down there. It's less than 5 minutes to put both in place. So with the retro BC steering attached to the glider now, let's go out to the flying site and give it a try. Let's see what it's like. So I think what we do a quick demonstration, left right on full bar with C's, left right on full bar with BC's. So let's get up, full speed. Right, let's turn left, BC. Very quick. Let's turn right, BC. Very quick, very heavy. Right then, just the C's. Settle it down, and we'll turn left on just the C's. And then we'll turn right on just the C's. Much lighter, not as efficient. But this is very heavy, and I believe it is because the centre of it, the aerodynamic centre of the wing, is probably right around, right between A and B, maybe slightly closer to the B. This is fully loaded up to lush. Right, so we've had a look at the BC steering, its installation, its use. We need to discuss exactly what it's doing. Well, profile above my head. Obviously, with this modification to the glider, it means it is outside of the testing criteria for its EN certification when it came out. Therefore, it makes it an uncertified glider. But one of the other things I did check up is I did email and have a conversation with Bruce about the BC steering, and suggestions were that the Cure 2 risers should work fine on the Cure 1. May well work out exactly the same way as my modification has done. So now we've been out and flown the glider on this BC steering, there's a few things that I really wanted to talk about. It's very easy to assume that we've got our A's, B's and C's, and what we are doing by pulling down on the C in the traditional version, it's breaking its back. But now we've got this B riser steering, we're assuming that our whole wing is having an angle of attack change. One issue with the Cure, the distance between the A's and B's is far shorter than the B's to the C's. If that's the case, and we pull the C and it pulls on the B at 50% rate of that, for it to give us a clean, crisp angle of attack change on that wing without changing profile, that B, where it's pulling 50%, has to be directly in the middle. It's not on the glider. It's closer to the front than it is the back. So, with a diagram that I've drawn up, what I've noticed is potentially, unless I'm wrong of course, please put in your comments, explain to me if I am wrong for any reason. What I'm seeing is we are now getting a break of the profile where it's pulling the B further than it should be because it's closer to the front. So what we're getting now is we're not getting that, we're actually getting that. So our A's have stayed in place, our B's have come down, and relatively our C's haven't come down as far. So we've got this angle change where it's almost putting it into a reflex kind of shape. And this itself makes me then question, when I go on speed bar and I look at my risers, as I pull down the A, it pulls down the B 50%, and we can see it as they're set together, that actually that 50% it's pulling on the B isn't quite right. Because now we are pulling A, and then the B will be less because it's closer because we're pulling the A's now, and we're actually getting a curved change to the profile. And I'm wondering if it's just this slight detail. I know it's not a massive difference, but I'm wondering if it's this slight detail that as you do it, you're not just changing the angle, then you put the brakes on, is what puts the whole airfoil in such a way that you get those frontals as you start using the brakes on the speed bar, which is why you don't do that. These are my thoughts. Please, by all means, fire off a message, a comment, let's have a discussion about this. I am looking into other gliders that already have BC steering. So I've just checked out the line plan on BGD because they're still available, and I checked on the glider itself. My A, B's and C's are all single line as they go through, and the distance between the A's and B's is 62 centimeters, and the distance from the B to the C's is 83 centimeters. So we've got 21 centimeter difference, and I think that is going to make a difference in the profile that it creates. So it might not make a massive difference, but I think this is exactly what it's doing to the profile, and that itself means it's not being 100% efficient. They still say the BC steering system on your gliders nowadays, as more efficient as they are than just pulling the C's and braking it, it's still not the best, and that the 2-liner is the one to be on at the moment. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you do, please subscribe. If you don't already, give us a thumbs up and maybe join in the conversation. And I will see you guys up in the air.